What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Happy Sunday.
For us.
Why?
Because this comes out on Wednesday.
Oh.
Don't worry. We'll get it. We'll get it one of these years. We'll get it one of these years.
Shut the hell up.
I give Sonja so much shit about stuff like that. I do it all the time.
You're such a jerk off.
She's like, when does the video come out? I'd be like, the videos have been coming out on the same day for the last 2 years. It's all good. Happy Sunday to us.
Shut up, you jerk. Turn it off.
Sorry.
Let's start over again. I don't like this recording.
Really? All right.
Anyways, I wanted to get into some stuff. Do you have anything you want to get into before it's the coffee? I'm feeling it now. I needed it though. I was ready.
Getting aggressive now?
I was ready to take a nap.
Yeah.
I was.
Dude, we
I
went
was
out.
Just tired.
We've
been busy all weekend.
We went to. We're always talking about.
Holy smokes.
We went to Church.
Yes, we did.
And then we went out to eat.
Yes,
oh, man.
we did.
And we ate good.
Yes.
And
mine wasn't too bad though. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot. My serving wasn't as big.
The food was okay. But
yeah.
what I mean is by eating good is a lot of carbs.
Carbs. Yes.
And that makes you, like carbs are supposed to give you energy.
Bullshit. Mm-mm.
But dude, I wanted to take a nap.
No. Yeah. I go into a carb coma.
Yeah.
There's no, where I feel that I have the most energy?
I thought we were going to get into parenting.
Where I feel like I have the most energy?
What?
Like when I fast.
Really?
I enjoy fasting.
There are some things about there's times when you have little energy.
Spurts of, yes.
And then there's times, and it'll come after. Without eating anything,
mm-hmm.
There's one moment where you're like, oh, I feel kind of lethargic. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like the way I feel when I fast. But there's a point to where I'm like, okay, enough's enough. Like the longest I fasted was for 7 days.
Yeah. That was recently.
But yeah. And I feel that in order to, if I want to completely let go of sugar, like completely in carbs, I have to fast to just restart my system. Cause if not, I want it.
Yeah.
Like I crave it. I want it.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that after a fast, I don't crave it. I don't want it. And then Miguel's like, here, just have one drink. Just have one drink.
Speaking about it, we're all over the damn place. Before we start the podcast, we talk, so what are we going to get into? First, let's get into parenting. Yeah. And then we don't.
But that's why I don't like to do that.
I know. And, it's just, we keep it unscripted, but we do try to at least start out with a plan. You know what? Maybe we should just say, fuck it. No plans at all. Because even when we try a plan, it doesn't work. But anyway, recently, and I have told you before, I had been thinking in this past winter, like I've been wanting to go out for a run go out for a run. Like one run is better than no runs because I haven't been doing any of that recently. But this winter for me, dude, I turned into like the biggest bitch. I don't know what happened, but before I would be running in the cold. I didn't give a fuck. And this winter I ran a couple times and I was like, you know what? And it wasn't even running. He was cold. It would be, I'm talking about, it would be stepping outside, and this is Arizona cold. So this isn't even real cold. And I'd be like shivering and my teeth are chattering. I'm like,
look, so I'll want to go back in our, backyard. We have a beautiful backyard. I love our backyard. Sitting by the pool, looking up at the stars and just chit chatting. And I'll ask him to come out, and he'll come out and he'll be sitting there hugging himself, holding himself, fucking shivering. And I'm like, and I look at him like, what in the hell is wrong with you?
What are you doing?
Like, it's not. And normally it's me, right? I do not care to be cold, but lately it's been you,
Dude, this winter has been freaking rough. I mean, I had plans. I had lots of plans on running, being tough and all that shit. Fuck all that. I didn't do any of it. And you know what? At a certain point, I started thinking about it. And there are a lot of people that I follow that I like to follow. And the truth is that we do need these people around.
No, yeah.
Right? Yeah. We need these people.
Just not in my house.
The thing is that, like, I look at it. I'm fucking 37. I'm not a Navy SEAL. Actually, I was in the Air Force, which is, some would say, the complete opposite of being a fucking Navy SEAL. Right?
Yeah.
You know, no, I love my Air Force people out there. But you know it's different. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I'm not training to be a world champion fucking anything, you know? Mm-hmm. So why am I going to fucking kill myself and torture myself to do these things? You know, like, yeah, I do jujitsu, which can be tough at times. And sometimes when you're getting the shit beat out of you, it's not that much fun. But I still do it. Mm-hmm. But it's not like I need to train at jujitsu like I'm going to be the next world champion. Yeah. I don't need to run like I'm going to freaking go to the Olympics. Like I'm trying to stay in shape. I don't have to torture myself and shiver. It's so cold. I don't need to do all that shit. It's fucking ridiculous. So.
Hey, I'm so glad you said that because every time I would try because you get fucking psycho though, man. But I think it's because you were listening to Goggins and Jocko, and he was fucking driving me nuts.
But you know what? There is
it's
a good
to have that.
Good
no,
thing
it
about
is. It is, and you have that in you, and I love that because it helps me to be better, and it helps me to look in the mirror when I'm like, oh, I really don't feel like it, but then I look at you and I'm like, look at this stupid ass over here.
Look at this motherfucker talking all that shit. Look at him now.
No, but I'm thinking
sleeping at 9, 10 o'clock.
Because I'll look at you and I'm like, I can't let him outdo me. Like, you know, when it comes to self-discipline, because
it would be funny because you like it and would have a hard time doing it.
Ugh, I don't like running.
Well, working out, period.
I like there
working
out.
You do like working out, but
I like lifting.
There was a stretch where, like, you liked it, but it was just hard to figure out how to get it into the schedule.
Yeah.
And then you never really focused on it, so it just kind of went to the wayside, and you were just working. But for me, like, I don't like working out. I don't like running, but I still made myself do it. So for you, it was like, this motherfucker, he doesn't even like it and he fucking forces himself to do it. It's even worse.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I've been thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start when it starts getting nice.
Yeah.
That way. And then I'll run, you know, maybe like I'll start running again and winter will come. And it like if you work your way into it,
you keep telling yourself
that bad.
You're going to be a year older.
It's not that. No, it's not going to be that bad. It's just, I try to go from no running to running at 4 o'clock in the morning when it's 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's cold. So now it's getting really nice. So I set my alarm for tomorrow. I'm going to get up and it's time to start doing something.
So, Audrey and I, we started working out together and I like it because I was looking for someone to work out with.
You have been for a long time.
Yes. And then I found someone, but it wasn't what I thought. She looked great, but it wasn't all natural.
This is what happens. Sonja tries to find workout partners and she'll get Sonja's a bit of a psycho too sometimes.
When it comes...
Dude, every time that Sonja takes time off from the gym and goes back on that first day, I can guarantee that she's not going to be walking, like able to walk. I'm going to be hearing, you know, it's just, I know. And I tell you every time before you go back, what do I tell you? Take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't go too hard. You're not going to be able to walk.
Take it easy. So,
but then she invites somebody and fucking wears their ass out.
She didn't go the next day.
And then they don't show up.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Please come back.
Please come back. So anyway, so Audrey brought it up and I didn't think that our gym accepted them at her age. I thought she had to be 13. And when I went in, they told me 12. And I'm like, well, she's not 12 yet. But she's been bugging me about it. But Mom, let's work out. Mom, let's work out. Or take me with you. You know, let's go. You know, and I'm like, she's like too young. But then I found out different. So anyways, we've been going and she's been great, you know, and she's been pushing through and I'm focusing on form right now. So I was getting a bit frustrated because I'm like, I'm not getting the workout that I need because I'm showing her, right? Yeah. But it's like, I had to tell myself, it's okay. Like, let it go. You know, because I was jump roping while she was, you know, I was keeping an eye on her form and we would switch off, you know, but I'm like, it's okay. She's learning right now.
Give it a month or two.
But I love the fact that she's going to be 12 and she is up at 5 o'clock and she's ready to go. Most 12-year-olds are not looking to get up at that age. They're wanting to sleep in. And she started getting like that, you know, until like, you know, the gym. She's like, Mom, can you take me as a guest? And I didn't know that I could. So I looked and I'm like, sure. And I put her on the, you know, on my guest list and she's been going with me. But now we're going to have to fork out the cash, you know, to get her in there. Cause I think it'd be good for both of us. Cause I feel that she's going to keep me on a regular schedule so that I'm going every day, you know, at 5:30, you know?
Yeah.
And so it feels good to be working out with her and helping her and coaching her with that, you know?
That'll be cool.
So I found my workout partner.
Finally.
And
she can't quit on you because she's in the house.
Yeah.
So be like, get your ass up. We're going to the gym.
One of her friends' moms saw, you know, that we were working out. She came out and she's like, hey, you're Adriana. And she's like, yeah. She's like, oh, my daughter is so-and-so. And Audrey's like, oh, yeah, okay. She's like, ooh. She's like, you're doing really good. And she's like, I'm going to have to tell her. She's like, because she does not want to get up. Like, her daughter's just not motivated.
What I was going to tell you is you need to talk to her about jiu-jitsu. Like, make the connection.
Yeah.
Make the connection. Be like, look, if you get in shape and you're stronger, you know, if your legs are stronger, if your arms are stronger, like when you go to do some moves, it's going to be tough for people to not let, you know, if you're strong, especially like your core, your legs.
Yes.
It's good for you.
Yes. And so she was like, Mom, can we work out on abs? I'm like, Adriana, we have half an hour. Trust me, you do not want me to work you out for half an hour on abs. Yeah. You know, so 10 minutes, I saw the time and I'm like, let's do it. And I'm over here throwing her legs. Yeah. You know, the one where she holds my ankles and I'm throwing her legs and I'm telling her, don't let them touch the ground. And I'm working her out in those 10 minutes, you know, and I'm like, how do you feel? She's like, I'm good.
That's good.
I'm like, yeah, imagine doing that for 30 minutes.
That's really good.
You know,
I'm glad she's enjoying it. That's awesome.
And I'm enjoying it too. So I was listening to this podcast and there was a lady on there, Dr. Shafali, and she was talking about how us parents, and some of us, we do it without knowing that we're doing it, but we put our beliefs and maybe dreams that we want it to accomplish or things that we want it to accomplish throughout our lives before we had children onto our children.
So we want them to accomplish the things that we didn't?
Yes. Or say, you know, like for instance, I wanted to be a ballerina, but my mom didn't have the money. You know, like things that we wanted to do in our life that maybe we didn't do or maybe we didn't have or we didn't succeed at.
So is it like now you want them to be a ballerina?
Right. Or say you're a doctor or we're podcasters, right?
Yeah.
We throw our dream on them.
They should be podcasters.
You guys should be podcasters too. Oh, I own Trust Inc. Hey, guess what?
You need to start a notary business.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking because I'm like, well, and she was talking about how kids today are so busy. Like we keep them so busy. We're so caught up in our kids having success that they're missing out on their childhood. And, you know, and I was just thinking back because I was trying to schedule a time for a play date. You know, and right now the kids are busy, right? Because they're in jiu-jitsu, one's in basketball, one's in baseball, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I always look back on us, like
us as kids?
You and I, no, like, is this something that we are reflecting on them? Are they in basketball and baseball because they want to? Are they in jiu-jitsu because they want to or because we're forcing them to? Do they enjoy what they're doing? Is it who they are? You know, and when I started thinking about that, yes, Adriana asked to be in basketball. Yeah. She was asking for quite some time, right?
Well, you know that it's their thing because basketball is not my sport. Right. If it was my influence, they'd be playing football.
Yes, like Joey would be playing football. Yes. But that's the thing, though, just turning inwards to find out, okay, you know, are they in these extra curriculums because they want to or because we want them to be?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times, we want our kids to be successful, right? Like we want our kids to be successful. We want to, try to build these walls up so that there are no mistakes and that we keep them in this little safe haven so that nothing happens to them and they never grow. They never get to find out who they really are until they become an adult, and then they start looking back on their lives like, I didn't like that. I mean, that's not something I wanted to do. Like I was forced to do this, and I didn't want to go to college. This is what I wanted to do, but I was forced by my parents to go to college, and they are barely finding out who they truly are at the age of 40. Yeah. Like what the hell?
I've heard of that a lot, like parents that, they wanted to be a football player or whatever. And now that you mention it, there's something that I do want to talk to the kids about, like talk to Joey, talk to Audrey, because we've never been like that. And kind of like you said, I mean, if it was up to me, they would play football, but I don't push football on them.
But it's not only that, it's also academics.
Like we'll throw the academics too. We'll throw the football around. And I asked them like, hey, Joe, would you like to try football? And if he says I'd like to try it, then when the season comes around, I'd be like, hey, you remember you said you wanted to try football? Thing is that he's always kind of just been like, I want to play baseball.
Yeah.
So for the last 3 or 4 seasons that we've had, he's wanted to play baseball. I've even brought up football from time to time. He keeps going back to baseball. So it's like, and the only reason that I bring up football, I've even brought up basketball, it's just to give him a chance to try something else.
Right.
But if he really likes baseball, then why distract him from like just play baseball then? You know? And the other thing is like when thinking about it, when I was a kid, I did want to play football. And I got to the point where I started, like I was getting good. And I thought that with training, I mean, I'm like, I'm tiny for for a professional football player, not happening. I mean, there are a couple, but they're pretty damn special. But one thing that I did, like I was good and I like to hit, I love playing football, but I always kind of wondered like, what if I would have like really tried and got some training like in high school from the beginning, because that's the thing is that these people that become professionals, they start early usually. And nobody ever really talked to me about any of that when I was a kid. Like actually like, hey, if you really like it, why not actually try it? Like you could play a game as a living. Now this is a very, very long shot, but if you want to do it, let's try it and let's get some training in, but if that's what Joey wants, if that's what Audrey wants, they're in recreational leagues now. But Joey is showing now that he might want to get some training and really like learn some skills.
Yeah, he enjoys it.
Because he is showing that he's focused and he wants to learn. So at this point now it's time to like, let's step it up a little bit and see if we get him some real training. And that's not us pushing it on what I wanted to be a professional athlete. I want to push it on him. No. It's like, it's up to you. And if he decides, like, I don't want to, baseball's not my thing. Maybe I like science or I like whatever. Well, let's get into that.
Yes. And so listening to this podcast, I didn't finish listening to it, but when she was sharing this about, the kids being so busy, like they feel like they always have to be entertained. Like if they're bored, something's up, like something's wrong, like the kids can't be bored, but it's like, it's good for them to not have things to do at times.
Yeah.
So that because when they get older, they're going to have to live with themselves, right? They're going to have to live with themselves. Yeah. They're going to have to, and I think the hardest thing is getting to know who you truly are as an individual, right? Yeah. It is. I mean, you and I are now still figuring out who we are and why we do certain things and why do we react, certain ways, and where did this come from, where did this belief come from, and why am I feeling so strong about this,
why does this affect me so much?
Yes. And and she was talking about how like different traits that the kids receive, like that they what did she say, hold on,
like traits that people put on the kids.
Like they are their own person. There are some genes, there are some things that are hereditary that they get from us, right? You know how I say Adriana, like she's very creative, like she takes a lot like there's a lot of qualities in her that I see in myself.
Yeah.
you know?
There's a thing that people say. They say either nature or nurture. Mm-hmm. Like when you try to, like, let's say a serial killer. Is it nature or is it nurture? Like, yes. Were they just meant to be a fucking crazy person, or was it nurture? Was it the environment that they came out around? But the thing is that you always hear people say nature or nurture. And it's like, why not both? And because I think sometimes it's both.
Mm-hmm. When she was saying that there's no such thing as a bad kid. Like, there's no such thing as a bad kid. A kid doesn't come out of the womb like a bad kid. Right? But then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, like, Joey was a very, he was a very, a challenging child. Like, he just consumed our attention.
Well, he wasn't a bad kid.
He cried a lot, babe. Like, he cried a lot. He wasn't colicky, though. He wasn't colicky. He was just like a little whiner. He was like this, just.
We've mentioned it on here. When he was a baby, and more when he was like 3 years old. That year 3 was tough.
It was before that, baby.
He had, well,
yeah, he was an infant.
Yeah, he was always like, he had like 2 modes, cry and whine. Right?
Yes. And I tell people that I knew that this kid was going to be a pain in the ass when he came out because he gave me so much pain, right?
Yeah.
Like, because both of our babies, we had them both natural at home. Both of them are water. They were born in our spa in the backyard. But Adriana, her birth was more, it was such a beautiful thing.
You got to hit a Pam. Sorry.
Yes. It was such a beautiful thing, right? Like, it was very intimate between you and I.
It was so different.
And yes, it was painful, but it wasn't anything that I couldn't control. But I remember I trained for birth. And women, if you're thinking of having a natural birth, I'm sorry. Even though our bodies are made to give natural births,
you better get your mind right.
You need to train. I'm talking about meditation, because I was meditating not knowing that I was meditating, right? Because my midwife was like, you need to get your mind right. Start certain techniques on pain. Here's some books, read some books, get your mind right, get your mind strong, get you like ready to give birth. She gave me so many techniques, and I was reading, right? We were doing it together. We were training together.
The hood definition of meditation is stop tripping and get your mind right.
Yeah. And so her birth was, it was manageable, right?
Yeah.
Now, Joey.
No, you were ready to go for Audrey.
Yeah. And Joey, everybody was telling me, oh, this one's going to be so much easier.
Everybody said that.
It's your second birth. Like, you're good. So here I am.
Dude, they were even saying, like, you're going to get some contractions, and before you know it, boop, boop. He just.
Right. And it wasn't. It was exactly the same. With Adriana, I was in labor for hours, right?
Yeah.
I remember, I think they started at 9 in the morning. I didn't have her the following day until like 3:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, with Joey, I was not prepared. I did not train because I listened to everybody else, and it was painful. I understand now why some of you women go and get those epidurals and everything else you do to avoid the pain, because after him, I was like, man, I am so glad we agreed that we're done after this.
But just like everything else, and we'll get into some of this too, but if you don't know about having a natural childbirth at home, if you don't really know anything about it, if you haven't looked it up, and you are making an assumption already, like, oh, that's for hippies, or that sounds dangerous, or whatever, look it up first.
Yes.
Look up the benefits, because you think, oh, the epidural, I'm not going to feel any pain. Well, guess what? There are benefits to feeling that pain. And, there's a connection, a bond that you have with the baby. These are things that you just don't know because you don't know them. They don't talk about them. And everybody goes to the hospital, so you just don't know.
Yes. And Miguel.
There's a lot of benefits to
and
it.
Miguel wasn't on board at first until he started educating himself on it. And then he was down for it. He was like, okay, let's do this. But too, because of who I am, like, I feel that Joey he was a whiner.
He was a little spicy.
Because during my pregnancy, and I do believe this, I don't know if there's any scientific facts behind this, but I was very emotional. I mean, we had 3 teenagers in the house, and it was a very hard time for us, a very challenging time. And I was very emotional. There are times where I was crying and sad and depressed. Like, I was full of these emotions, and I felt that those emotions transferred to Joey. And that's why he came out the way he came out, you know? But regardless, like she was saying, is that a lot of times, you know, we put our beliefs on our children, and those children that we call bad children are our best children, meaning we learned so much from them. Think about that. Joey, we've learned patience with Joey, right? Yeah. We started looking into parenting because of Joey, right? Like he was when they were little. Yeah. And not only that, but guess what? You started to see his temper. Yeah. Which in return, you started doing some self-reflection. Yeah. Which in return,
why are you calling me out?
Helped you. Think about it.
No, it's true.
You know, so she's like, even though you have these kids that may challenge you at times and drive you bananas, it's time for you to slow down and ask, what can I do? Like, what can I do to help? What are some things maybe that I need to change? What are some things that maybe I need to correct? Yeah. You know, and when she said that, I was like, holy shit. Yeah. You know, because there are times when I'm sitting with him and I can feel myself about to lose it, and I have to correct myself. Or sometimes he corrects me. Mom, yelling is not going to help me. Yeah. I'm sorry, baby. You're right. He's the one who got us to recognize that it's okay for us to apologize. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I mentioned it on the last podcast where, you know, I had busted him, or I thought I had busted him playing his video game. Yeah. And he told me, he's like, I wouldn't do that. Aww. And then I thought about it, I was like, you're right. Yeah. Like, that's not like you. Now, something that I didn't mention on the last episode is that after he said that, I told him, I'm like, hey, Joe, I was like, that is a very good quality. I was like, you're right. You're right. When I tell you to do something, you usually do it. And I don't have to tell you again. So if I told you to stop playing your game and go to bed, you're not going to get back on that game. Yep. I was like, but you have developed that trust. Yes. I was like, and that is a very good thing. Yes. I was like, don't mess that up.
Yep. Because when it comes time for him to start driving or doing things on his own, like that trust that we have for him, it's solid because he's built that.
Well, I also mentioned his sister, you know, because recently with Audrey, we've had a couple issues with her lying. And like you mentioned, like I would tell her like, hey, I lied to my dad or I've lied in the past and this is why I did it or whatever. But I told Joey the same thing. I'm like, hey, you know, right now we were talking to your sister about lying. I was like, you know, you've earned this trust. I was like, so don't mess it up. I was like, you see what's happening over here. Your sister now, I mean, you know, it hasn't happened a lot, but there have been some things. And if it keeps happening, then our trust little by little starts going away.
It's your character. It's building. It's your character. And you don't want to be known as a person who lies. Yeah. You know, it's like the little boy who cried wolf. That's what I was talking to her about. You know, but especially it's so important now because she's older. Like she's going to be 12. Yeah. You know, and shit's going to happen. And I told her, I said, listen, I said, you're going to make mistakes. That's okay. I don't care how bad the mistake is. Your daddy and I, we love you. And yes, there are going to be consequences.
And we also told them that we've made probably all the mistakes that they've made and more and bigger ones.
You know, and another thing, I wasn't even going to get into this, but Adriana is in 6th grade and I just got an email from her school saying that they were going to start talking to them about puberty. Yeah. Right? Yep. And I asked the school to send me the videos. I want to see the videos first. I reviewed the videos and I'm like, okay, this isn't bad, right? Yeah. But the thing of it is that we are old.
Why?
Because younger parents teach their kids about younger, you know, about their sexual, you know, earlier, you know, because, and the reason why I say that is because you don't want them to be ashamed of their bodies, right? Like, you don't want them to be ashamed of their bodies. You want them to know that, like, it's natural.
I don't know.
I don't either, but it just seems because when Audrey had a situation, she didn't come to us because she thought that we would be upset with her.
I don't know.
And she was a bit embarrassed about the situation, but it's like, if we would have left that door open for her, she wouldn't have been embarrassed to tell us, kind of,
Yeah.
So it's like, and with Joey, like, I tell Joey, I'm like, Joey, are you serious? Like, we used to bathe, we used to shower not that long ago. I'm like, I know what you have, buddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's okay. It's natural. Every boy has one. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny. You were talking about the puberty video.
Yes.
And Joey's best friend. I mean, these two, like, they're so cute to see them two together. Yes. Like, they are everywhere. I mean, you guys have seen it. You guys, for guys and girls, like, you guys make like a really close bond with a friend when you're little, and it's just, you guys are everywhere together.
See, I never had that. I love it.
And I was laughing at you, and I was telling you, I was like, you know what? If they were growing up in the 90s, they would be called butt buddies. Yeah. Because that's what we used to call. Like, oh, there goes fucking. I can remember of two specifically growing up, Ace and this other guy, Jeff. And it was like, they were butt buddies. Everywhere you went, it was Ace and Jeff. And then, me and Stevens, my friend Stevens, me and Juan, we were just everywhere we went. It was just together. Yeah. And first thing you wake up, I'm going to go play with, with my friend. Yeah. And, but he had came over. And you were talking about the videos, and Joey's friend, he's like, all the guys in there had really nice 6-packs. Like that. And Joey, and I don't know why, like, you've been talking about Audrey and working out, but for some reason, for the last few weeks, like Joey, Audrey, it's all been like 6-pack talk. Yeah. And the other day, I don't know what we were doing. I don't know if it was down here in the kitchen or whatever, but I was with the two kids and they were talking about 6-packs or, like the muscles, the abs and all that. Yeah. And I was telling them, I was like, you know what? I was like, everybody has abs. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, everybody has abs. Yeah. And then, like, I lifted my shirt up and then I just like pushed my stomach down, like the fat from the top.
So
and you can see like the top 4 abs. And I was like, look, you see, I got abs. Stupid. And they're like, whoa.
They're underneath that.
I was like, everybody's got abs. I was like, some people are just too fat, so you can't see the abs.
Adriana was talking about it. Like, she said she wanted, and maybe that's what makes her, that's making her want to go to the gym, is that she wants abs. And I told her, I said, Adriana, baby, I'm like, you love your sweets too much
to have abs. No.
And when I told her that evening we had dinner, and there was she had ice cream left over, and I said, hey baby, I'm like, you still have ice cream, in the freezer? And she's like, no mom, I'm good, I'm eating healthy. She said that. I was like, wait, what?
This is something that we need to find out. What is the reason? She said, I'm eating healthy.
Yes.
Which is a good thing to say.
Yes.
But why is she not eating the sweets?
Because she wants to be healthy.
If it's because she wants to be healthy,
that's what she said.
That's great.
Yeah.
But if it's because I want to be skinny and look good, like,
she didn't say that.
Then that's
because I talked to her about health.
No, you do.
Right?
Yeah.
I talked to her about health. So it's not about, hey, it's strictly health with her. So far, who knows? May change when she gets older. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you do want to look good too.
I mean,
do. It does. People, it's like a vain thing. Like, no. I mean, you do want to look good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the other thing that his friend said after they were talking about the abs and the 6-packs and everything, he's like, I have Mr. Potato Head arms.
Who said that?
Joey's friend.
Aw.
He's like, he's like, yeah, but I have Mr. Potato Head arms. And then I'm thinking about it, I was like, dude, that's actually pretty funny. And you remember Mr. Potato Head's arms?
Yeah.
They're just like little white strings,
Yeah, that's so funny. I think that it's... Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, these kids sometimes, like, the freaking things that they say.
I love it.
And especially, like, Joey's friend, every once in a while, like, we'll be... Because it's cute listening to them talk and play. But every once in a while, he'll say something, and we're just like, what did he just say? But
it's not bad. It's just he has a great personality.
It just kind of catches you off guard.
It's almost like an older person would say that.
I'll give you an example. So we were all hanging out. Both of our kids, Joey, Audrey, us two, and Joey's best friend. So we're all hanging out, and I don't know what Audrey was doing, But he straight up just, oh no, we were sitting.
We were having dinner.
We were having dinner at the dinner table.
Yes.
All of us sitting there looking at each other.
Yes.
And
he's a 5th grader. Audrey's a 6th grader.
And he's like, he says across the table to Audrey straight up, like, I think you like me. And she's like, what? Yeah.
Yes.
And he's like,
and we're all there. This is so funny.
And she's like, no. And he's like, then why do you act so weird around me?
Yeah.
And she didn't know what the hell to say. And we're just sitting there like eating. We're like, holy shit.
It was so great. It was just because there's no, like, he's pretty confident.
It's
like, it
funny,
just came out, you know. But I think that for us parents, the most important thing is to be relatable to them.
Yeah.
Be relatable, like relate. Like that's something we started doing recently. You know, like when they make a mistake or they do something, it's like, you know what? I did that too. Not just letting them get away with it, but letting them understand, like,
there's consequences, but we
understand.
Yeah.
We get it. Because then if something comes up, they will come to you, openly come to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And I know that that's something that, you know, at the beginning, like we didn't do very well with that. Well, you know, like we were more firm, we weren't as open, I guess.
Well, we went from not being parents, you know,
right.
Like it's a tough change.
Instant parents.
You know, there's a lot of learning things that you don't even think about.
And then things that you have to undo.
You know what it might be? Because it's one of those things like how people say how, like, if you get a prescription and if your dog gets a prescription, I think it's like over 90% chance that your pet will get their full medication like without fail. But for us, we'll miss it, we'll double up later or whatever. You know, like we're way more it's almost like we will put people first or put somebody else first
before yourself. Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the same thing. Like when you have kids, well, now you have kids. Right. So now I can't just do now I have to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
You know, because now I have these two.
Yeah. You know, and two, though, I know people our age who are still stuck. Like they don't get it. And I was talking to you about this earlier. Like I feel that we were just blessed with the opportunity to learn from others who did it before us. And I feel, you know, because we were talking about church and Legal Shield and all of that. Like we started learning, I did, about personal development and what personal development is. For those of you that are watching, maybe never heard that term before. It's just focusing on things that you feel, that make you better. You know, and it's finances, it's marriage, it's parenting, it's all of it. Like there's so much information out there. You know, YouTube, you could go to YouTube and look up parenting or books or audio. Like there's so much information out there. And I didn't grow up in a family that read books.
Yeah.
I just didn't. And so when I was introduced to my business, that's what focused on hardcore personal development, how to get better. If you're shy, how to not be shy, things to do, you know, things that not to do. I mean, just all of that. And that was my introduction on how to get better as an individual. And then, you know, I started getting into church and I'm like, this sounds very familiar. Like this.
Yeah, we've talked about
feels like church when I would go to an event, like a large conference, and everybody is just clapping for you and everybody is so happy, you know, for your success. So it's like you don't have any excuse of why you're not getting better because there's so much information out there, right?
Well,
some of it's free. A lot of it is free today.
Babe, you just got to think about, well, we can get into it in a little bit, but where we came from, like you need a wake-up call sometimes, because when you live like that, it's a fucking grind every single day.
Right.
I mean, it's like kind of like us right now. I mean, the week goes by and we almost have zero time to think about anything outside of what we need to get done. And growing up, you know, the way we grew up, sometimes it's like you're just in this cycle. And it's just perpetuating itself day in, day out, and nothing is different. You need something to like give you a wake-up call.
Or someone.
That there's something different.
Yes.
Because if that, and for some people that may not come.
Yes.
You know, like we talked about, I don't know, it's just tough.
But too, you know, even listening to a podcast, like there are so many,
yeah,
I'll listen to a podcast and I'm like, oh my God, what? They're talking about parenting and Dr. Shafari. I'm like, who is this? So then I'll start looking it up. So that's what I'm saying. And then finding out all this other information which leads you to more information. But it's like you have to be on a search.
It depends on the person and where they're at.
Search for it, right?
Some people don't want to search.
Right.
And some people would rather search fucking whatever, you know.
And sometimes you don't have someone in your life who can say, hey, did you know? Right? Yeah. It's kind of like that, the boy, you know, Jim Quick, who, you know, had a bad fall and hit his head and had brain injury, and everybody was, you know, saying that this was it for him, that, you know, he couldn't read, he couldn't learn, and the teachers referred to him as the kid with the broken brain.
Yeah.
And he refused to believe that, but went to his friend's house, and his dad, who was very successful, took him into his library, and he said, I felt like I was in a cage full of snakes. You know, and then he started pulling these snakes off the shelves and giving them to me. And they were Rich Dad, Poor Dad, how to think and grow rich, and how to become a leader and how to mentor. But this man told him, don't let school get in the way of your education. I was like, what? Yeah. Don't let school get in the way of your education.
That's crazy.
Because they were teaching him how, right? Like math, skills, like how to do math, or, you know, what is math? What is English?
How to take a test.
But not how to learn, not how to get better at learning, how to think, you know?
Yeah.
So then when this one man influenced him, that one man was his tipping point.
That's why I think math is like so important, because with math, like there's different ways to do things. Like if you can't do it like this, then maybe you can do it like this. And I've seen it going to school, and I'm sure everybody's seen it. Like you get an answer by doing it one way, and then you have another kid that figured it out, but they did it a different way. You know, there's different ways, you know, to do things.
Yes.
But do you remember the first personal development book that you got?
I sure do.
What was it?
The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson.
The Dream Giver. Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that one. That was one of the first ones that I got too.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool. I remember reading that one.
Yeah, I was great at romance novels.
Yeah,
I will romance you.
Had a whole bunch.
I will. I was a pro.
Yeah, put those down.
Ask anyone I dated. No.
And if you guys would like to go pick up The Dream Giver or any of these other books that we talked about, but if you guys would like to, you know, pick it up, you guys can go to Amazon, and anything else that you purchase through Amazon. If you go through our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com, and you click on the Support the Show tab if you're on the computer, or if you hit the menu button and you click on Support the Show on the phone, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And if you purchase through that link, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And you'll also see a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is
rapping. No. Trust Inc. We are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. We do a lot of work with law firms and title companies. If you are looking to refinance, sell, or purchase a home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
And it doesn't matter where you are
in
the country. We have notaries nationwide. And you can go to trustincUSA.com. You can also look up our reviews. We have great reviews. And also, if you go on Amazon and you search Opposites Attract Podcast, you'll see our merch. So we have some T-shirts. We have some phone cases. We have some...
butt plugs.
No, not butt plug. Pop sockets for your phone. Sonia, I don't know why she called them butt plugs. But you got the pop sockets for your phone. And there's some other things, but you can find it all by going to Opposites Attract Podcast, or if you search Opposites Attract Podcast on Amazon. We're also affiliates with Libsyn, who hosts and distributes our podcast. If you guys have a hobby, if you have a passion that you would like to talk about, and you've thought about starting a podcast, if you use promo code OAP for Opposites Attract Podcast, you'll get the rest of whatever month you sign up in for free, and you'll get the next month for free just for trying out Libsyn, promo code OAP. And they'll distribute your podcast to Amazon Music, to iTunes, Spotify, all the different repositories.
What?
Don't worry about it.
Not deposit.
No. But yeah.
So So I just started, not just started, because I had to go back and listen to this book that we got on audio, The Drama of the Gifted Child. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
We can. Well, there was something, and it'll probably go into that too. But there was something that you had mentioned about keeping the kids busy.
Yes.
Or not keeping the kids busy, but you were saying that the kids are so busy. Right. Like kids today are so busy. Yes. They got so much stuff going on.
Yes.
And that was one thing that I wanted to talk about because...
Yeah, there's the good and...
In my opinion, and a lot of times I think about, boys specifically, because obviously I was a boy and I know the trouble that boys can get into.
No.
I is a boy.
I is a boy.
But when it comes to having, I would imagine, well, girls are going to find boys and they can get in trouble together, right? Yeah. So maybe keep the girls busy too. But I remember growing up, and I've heard this before, that when you have boys, you got to make sure that you have them doing things. You cannot leave them idle. You leave them idle and they're going to find, they'll make themselves busy. They'll make themselves busy with some shit that they're not supposed to be doing. So you got to make sure that they're doing the sports. Even, if he's playing the games, you got to be careful with the internet, obviously. But you just can't leave them doing whatever with their buddies all the time.
I wouldn't say the games either. There has to be a limit to that.
There's a limit, and it depends on the games too and all that. But they should hang out with their friends. But as parents, we need to know what the hell's going on.
Yes.
And I think maybe today that happens a lot more, depending on, I guess, your community, right?
Yep.
Because, in our community where we are here, I think a lot of parents do know what their kids are up to.
Yes.
But when you go to other communities, like if you have a single parent, household,
yep,
you're probably not going to know everything that your kids are into because you're busy holding the house down.
Right.
Yeah. And that's kind of how we grew up. And I know when I was a kid, man, there was so much shit that I got into. I'm talking about drinking before I should have been drinking with my friends. I'm talking about breaking into shit. Seriously, just doing dumb shit that kids do.
Yeah, I'm learning more about you today with everything that you've gone through as a child.
So, you want to give them some time to hang out with their friends, but
know who their friends are, if possible. That know who they're hanging out with, because that will tell you a lot about what your kid is doing and what they're into as well.
Yeah.
We were just laughing the other day because none of my parents didn't know any of my friends' parents. And we hang out with some of our friends, with some of our kids'
parents.
Yeah.
And their closest friends, we know their parents.
Right. You know, which is cool.
Yeah.
But with this book, for those of you that I think everybody should read it, right? Or listen to the drama. It's very, I can tell you, it's a very, for me, very emotional. I started listening to it on the way to an appointment and I had to turn it off because I felt like I was just going to start crying to a point to where I couldn't go to that appointment. So I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
And I knew immediately when she brought up the subject.
I've been telling you,
that there are some things, some healing that I need to go through still. Mm-hmm. Things that I've gone through. And sometimes, a lot of times, we are unaware of it. We really are. We're unaware of it. We think that, we're fine. Hey, we're doing good, right? We have a business, we have a great relationship, we have a great marriage and, parenting, we're getting on the ball with that. And it's like you're trying to make everything outside work together, right?
This is something that they said in the book that really stuck out to me. That when you go through it, I'm paraphrasing because the book is hard. Dude, I've restarted this book 3 or 4 times already, because it's not an easy, I have to go back and it's all right, I'm already lost. Or they'll mention something and it gets my mind going and I'm off thinking about my experience with that. So I have to start it over and catch up on what I missed. But one thing that they mentioned in that book was if you had to like process and deal with those situations as a kid.
Oh, yes.
Like you just can't. Like you can't. No. Like for kids that grow up in these traumatic households and they go through these traumatic events, as a child, your brain isn't developed well enough yet, and you just can't handle that kind of stuff. Yes. So what happens is you shove it down or you put it away and you don't deal with it.
You lock it up.
You lock it up, and then when you become an adult, this stuff starts to affect you. And a parent, this stuff starts to affect you. You start repeating, the cycle.
Yes. And
now that we're adults, now we have to kind of go back and fix these things, because they would have eaten us alive if we had to like understand, process, and go through all that as children.
Yeah, there's no way.
You would lose your mind.
Yeah. And your brain is developing. There's no way that you can understand or comprehend what's going on at that moment in time at that age.
You know what? What was another thing? I mean, I've only listened to the first not even the first hour of the book, but they were also talking about how we talk to ourselves about certain things that we do. And some of these things are related to our past as kids. Mm-hmm. And if you were to run into somebody else that had a similar past to you, you would have a lot more sympathy for that person.
Yes.
But because it's us, we're a lot harder on ourselves.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you look at somebody else that may have went through something like that, you would be like, man, they've had a hard time.
Yeah.
And, maybe, that explains some of this stuff, or they need some help or whatever it is. But when we look at ourselves, it's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you should know better. Mm-hmm. And we're not that sympathetic towards ourselves, which is crazy to think. And I know I'm that way.
And she was saying too that sometimes you don't have to, you may not have any physically or mentally or, like trauma. Maybe it's not trauma what you would think is trauma.
Yeah.
But the way that you were raised, the things that were said, the side conversations that you heard, the living in a broken home with everyone around you going through divorce after divorce and cheating and this and that. And, a lot, it was not done to you, but you were still the product, in the situation. Yeah. And the things that you heard, the seeds that were planted, even without you knowing, are in there. And so the way you respond to love, that was me. Yeah. The way you respond to love is like, I just rather not love 100% because I'm going to get hurt, because marriage equals divorce, because, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I had no idea that growing up in that environment had anything to do with me not allowing myself to love 100%. Like, I played safe. And it's so crazy because
you rationalize it. Like, this is why.
And it was only when it came to relationships, because when it came to success, I did not give a crap. Like, I was so focused on not being poor, which is another
byproduct.
Right.
Yeah.
And instead I did everything in my power so that I would succeed.
Yep.
Right. And little did I know that success is not just about having money in the bank. It's not just about having a good career or a business, but it's about love. It's about creating those relationships, and for me, life without love, there's no meaning. Like, seriously.
Yep.
And it took you to come into my life to show me that, to bring that to me, and that's why I said, like, God knew exactly what he was doing when he brought you to me, because there's so much that I'm learning from you, right? Like patience.
Thanks, babe.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's the same. Like, we are the perfect fit for each other.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, we fit.
We're going to test that theory out later.
Perfect.
Anyway. No, but you're right. I mean, just to kind of give an example, like right now, if you guys know us, or if you guys met us recently, or if you guys watched the show or listened to us talking or whatever, and for anybody that thinks that, like, maybe we have kind of figured some shit out, and which we have, we work hard on trying to get better and learning things and all that stuff like we've talked about. But your past will have an effect. I mean, there's no way that it can't. Mm-hmm. And just to kind of give you guys an example, like there's things that I haven't thought about, things that I brought up to you recently that I haven't thought about since I was a little kid, and things that I don't think about on a regular basis. When I was a baby, I mean, I don't have a memory of my parents being together. I just don't. And from as long as I can remember going to visit my mom, and I would spend most of the time with my dad, and then I would go visit my mom on the weekends and in the summer. And then, my dad remarried and then had my stepbrother and my half brother and half sister, right?
Yep.
But most of the time growing up, my dad liked to work nights, which meant that I would go to school, and when I would come out of school, my dad was at work. And when my dad would get home from work, I would be asleep, which was the majority of my childhood. But it didn't really matter because I didn't really go home. I would usually go to my grandmother's house. That was pretty much until my little brother and sister. And once I started getting a little bit older, then I would be home alone with them. Everywhere I would go, I would be with them. We also, like you mentioned, we went to that one restaurant that got robbed.
Yes.
That was a little bit traumatic. From that point forward, I used to sleep with the lights on because nobody was home, and I was scared. So nobody would be home, and I would turn every single light in the house on, and we would have DJ equipment, like legit nightclub DJ equipment that was in a room next door to my bedroom in our apartment. I would turn the music up to the point where I couldn't hear anything but the music, and I would go to sleep. I would sleep with the light on in my room and the music blasting, because my thought was that if somebody was going to...
How old
were you? Maybe 11, like Audrey's age. I would go to sleep with the music blasting and the lights on, because my thought was that if somebody came in and they were going to kill me, I would rather me not hear it or see it coming.
How you said you were scared? Was it traumatizing for you? Like, put yourself back where you were as that little boy.
I was because I remember being a kid, and like there was this long hallway in the apartment, and I would walk across the hallway, but you could see like another room. And whenever I know that this is just my mind playing tricks on me. And even as a kid, I knew that, but it was still scary. Yeah. Like I would think that I would see somebody crossing from one room to another when I would cross the hallway. And I looked down the hallway, it would seem like there was somebody crossing.
Right.
But I already, in my head as a kid, it's weird because I do remember being a kid and I'm like, this is because you went through that. Mm-hmm. Like I rationalized it for myself. And that's why I think I would still be able to fall asleep. Even though I was scared, I would go to sleep with the lights on, the music blasting, all that shit. Right? Anyway, in the neighborhood that I grew up in, there was I'll just be straight up. There was a massacre that happened in that neighborhood, and one of my friends was like, they weren't involved or like some shit happened, but I was around it. I was close enough. I've seen some real shit go down. That happened again as I got older at a Wendy's in my in the other neighborhood that I grew up in. I remember there was a drive-by in a park. You know, we had a homeless dude that used to sleep in our hallway. So every day when I would come home, I would have to step over a homeless guy because we would let him sleep in our hallway. That was in my apartment. At my grandmother's apartment, there was a drunk guy in the hallway that I would a lot of times would have to step over to get to her apartment. Mm-hmm. You know, so these are things that, and there's so much more that I'm not. There was that one time that with my dad, I don't remember exactly how it happened or what happened, but we got kicked out of wherever we were staying, and we didn't have a place to go. And I remember sleeping in a Volkswagen Rabbit. And I remember you telling me, because you were saying that it sounds kind of like that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And you were telling me, you're like, weren't you scared? And I remember thinking to myself, like, no, I wasn't scared. I was like, because I remember ever since I was a little boy, my dad always told me, he's like, I will keep you safe. And that's what I tell our kids. That's kind of where it came from. Yeah, I tell my kids the same thing that my dad used to tell me. When you're with your dad, you have nothing to worry about because I will keep you safe. And when that happened, I remember laying in the passenger seat and my dad told me that. He's like, don't worry about it. You're with me. Everything's going to be okay. And I believed him and I went to sleep. These are things that you think about or that you never think about.
Right.
How the hell could that not have an effect on you as an adult?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So we've all been through some shit. And everything that we do now, like you look at the lights, the clothes, the nice house, like everybody's got their own shit to deal with. And you look at, and that's what I'm talking about when you don't know what people have been through.
Right.
Because you look at all, like where we are now, and if you think that my family is from a neighborhood like this and that we all came up like this, you have no clue.
Right.
And that also brings me to what we were talking about a couple episodes ago. When people talk about pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Mm-hmm. I mentioned that I'm very proud of what we've done. And what we've done wasn't handed to us.
Grateful.
We've had help from, some people, and we're super grateful. We're eternally grateful for the people that have helped us out, the people that have believed in us. The bottom line is that this was going to happen no matter what. Because, I'm a psycho, right? Like we talk about it, right? But you just have no idea what the background is. And the whole pick yourself up by your bootstraps, man.
When you don't have, go ahead.
When you don't have bootstraps, you can't pick them up.
Right.
And some of these, like we were able to figure out a way to get out. But it's not that easy.
No.
And if you haven't lived it, you don't know what that's like. You don't know the shit that goes on in your head.
The people that helped us pick up our bootstraps, for me, it was all our mentors in Legal Shield.
Yeah, that is true.
It was the attorneys that I worked with that were so loving and caring and just believed in me. And, the paralegals that I worked with and I was never afraid to ask questions. And that's it. It's like never be proud enough to ask questions. When you see someone living the life that you want to live, right? Like they have the good, a solid marriage, not perfect. There's no such thing, but a solid marriage and they're moving up. And don't be scared to ask, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you get where you are today? Well, because we had a lot of people and we still do, and they're not related.
Yeah.
I don't think there's one person that is related.
Yeah.
But they were our friends.
They were. Yeah.
They were friends.
Yeah. And you know what?
And sometimes everyone needs a hand, right?
Exactly. And that kind of, what I wanted to mention is the whole pick yourself up by your bootstraps thing. Like this is a very political thing. Like I'll bring up two political things. The whole pick yourself up by the bootstraps and the Second Amendment. Those are two things that are from different camps, right? Mm-hmm. The pick yourself by the bootstraps is a very right-wing Republican, like, welfare. People shouldn't get welfare. You should fend for yourself. We're all individuals here and you need to contribute, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the thing. Like you shouldn't be getting shit for free. The Second Amendment on the other side, the people that oppose it, it's like nobody should have guns, and there's no need for assault rifles. There's no, all that stuff, right? The thing is that the people on the left that are talking about the Second Amendment don't know shit about guns. They don't know shit. They don't know how guns operate. They don't know the names of them. They've probably never held them. They really have no clue.
Right.
The people on the right that are telling people to pick themselves up by their bootstraps have probably never lived that life.
Right.
They have no clue what the fuck that's like.
Right.
So you know what? Both sides should shut the fuck up. Unless you have experience. Unless you've been there.
Right.
Unless you've held a gun and shot it, then maybe you should learn a little bit more before you start fucking talking about banning all the guns.
Yeah.
And before you say that nobody should get help and nobody should get welfare, right, maybe you should learn a little bit more about it, because it's not that easy to pick yourself up by the bootstraps when you fucking grew up like hell. And I'm not saying that I grew up like hell, but there's a lot of people that did. And it's not so easy to just get your shit together.
Right. Yeah.
People need help.
Yes.
And that's why I fucking hate the politics thing.
And some people, will take the help until they start helping themselves. And then there's others that will continue to take the help. No.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hard.
It makes it hard.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that there aren't people that legitimately don't need help. They do.
No.
And that goes for every subject. It's not just guns. It's not just welfare. It goes with drugs. It goes with education. It goes with everything. If you really don't know and all you've done is listen to a bunch of bullshit that other people have said, do some research and find out about it.
Yes.
There's so many times that I hear people talking about one thing or the other, and it's clear that you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all just people, man. Especially this whole, pick yourself up by the bootstraps thing. Everybody's had their struggles, man. Everybody needs help. And like you're saying, I understand that some people just take and take and take, but some people do need a hand.
Right. Right. And I'm just grateful that, for the people that did help us, and now it's, our time to pay it forward, which we do, but those of you that are out there that know someone, it's like, I think we have a bad habit of judging, like you said.
Another one that is what we were mentioning before, the home birth. Yes. People will talk about home birth like, oh my God, what are you doing? That's crazy. What are you from a tribe or what year is this? What year is this that you're going to have a baby at your house instead of a clean, shiny hospital?
I got some shit for it. Remember? I got some shit from it. From family that just didn't know.
If you don't know, shut the fuck up and look it up because you really don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, we did. We did get shit from people. It's like, hey, keep your opinion to yourself and look it up first.
Yes. Yes. And it's amazing.
It's with everything.
And our kids have been healthy, right? They've just been, anyways.
So thank you guys. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Yes. You guys can follow the podcast there. You can listen to it there. You can share with the people that you know. Go to Opposites Attract or search Opposites Attract Podcast on Amazon. You can find our merch. Make sure you go to Trust Inc. That's trustinkusa.com for your notary needs.
Yes. So thank you all for listening to Opposites Attract Podcast,
where we get better together.
Bye.